My name is Nelima Lubisia. I am from Kitale, Bungoma County. The farm is in Dalu, but I grew up in Kitale. My parents are teachers, so we had a house near school, and then the farm itself is in Dalu, which is in Bungoma County. So I'm going to talk about the Akwetu, which is the business I have started as a sustainable, I call it sustainable agribusiness model because there are several challenges to get. Things like creating a production line that does not rely so much synthetic fertilizer. Also, because we do not have a lot of land, the other issue was to be able to utilize the land that we have in a way that in 5-10 years, you can shift between different crops to quality and still maintain your income. So the presentation will be about the story, the company, and how where I started to where I am now. So I'll start with the journey. I like this quote of, at the core of every single step is a choice. In life, most of us are presented with tough choices and easy choices. You consistently have, or at any given time, when you look back, you are a culmination of the choices you have made. Where you're standing right now as a farmer, as a professional, as a market, you are the sum total of function that you came to in life. So I am a trained engineer from mechatronic engineering. But ideally, my childhood and all my life I've spent in the farm in Dalu. I have a father who loved planting trees. I remember by the time I was in Form 3 and Form 4 in secondary school, every year I would save my pocket money and I would plant 1,000 trees on the farm. And then because I have planted 1,000, he would plant 10,000. So I think due to our upbringing, ideally we value careers, we value, like since I was a top student, the aim or the dream was always to have a very good career that would pay a lot of money, and then life would fall in place, yeah? So in 2016, I graduated from engineering school. Then I got a job at a multinational where I used to work on their supply chain, mostly handling engineering things, but from a supply chain perspective. And that's where the challenges in employment started. So first of all, the job was based in Nairobi, and I would earn, on an internship, I would earn 50 to 70,000 shillings. But you see, between the rent and the going to work every morning and what you need to eat in your house, I would find that the amount of money I would save is roughly 20,000 in case there is no emergency. But at the same time, as someone who thinks far about my life, like I see ahead, I always used to imagine that I would want that long term, if anything happens with my job or my career, a place where I can food, put up house, and like, so by noticing that I am working very hard, from what I'm earning, I'm only saving 10,000, 20,000. I decided to invest it in agriculture at home. So I started simple, as the people from Western, okay, usually a small space of my dad's land so that Hi, can you hear me now?
You're good now. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. Carry on.
uh, I went to mute for a second there. So I was on the employment challenges.
Uh-huh.
So ideally, that time I used to send money to cater to the employees I had, and to fund this small venture I had of chicken and greens. But then I remember first week, it was around December, where I was allowed to take a leave for almost 21 days. Came to the farm and I realized where I had actually put my money, I could not see much of it. Because for the 8 months that I had been sending money, yes, I had sold some chicken. We forgot to immunize them or to vaccinate them, so they have died. They're going on the farm, but because I was so far away, I was always reacting to them, and the impact was, um, I've seen. Anyway, let me continue. So ideally, when I came home, uh, when I came home, I noticed my investment was not moving at the pace that it would move if I was there. And at this time, I was having a lot of stress at work. And I had completed the 6 months working, yet I was not going to be given raise. I was just going to continue with the same salary and continue with my job, yet let me say the job description had increased vastly. So it became a personal question of what would make me happy and what would give me fulfillment. So being someone who has been raised in the farm, I looked at my papa, because I like growing trees. And farmers around where I live, they do very grow what they need to eat. The other thing was I would like to be an inspiration and a way for other young people from around my community to emulate. So with these two things, I went into this personal development. I like this book called Find Your Why. It's by someone called Simon Sinek, where he aptly describes how you can find something to do that would give you fulfillment, what is called a purpose. And that's how I arrived at, I would go back to the farm and develop it into a commercial enterprise. We can go to the next slide. Nicholas? Okay. Next slide, please. So what was the main idea that I wanted to develop? I would describe them in terms of the problems I looked around and saw that I could resolve by getting into agriculture, yeah? So first of all was to add value as a subsistence. Now most farmers where I live do maize farming and then seasonal crops. These are the greens and yeah, mostly the greens. And these things, by the time you're harvesting them, the market is flooded, so the price is very low. And then also by the time the market, what has been provided in the market has disappeared, the same people have to buy the maize, let's say in December, at a very high price. So this is what Anthony has highlighted as post-harvesting losses, and then also the lack of processing to add value so that you can increase the shelf life. The other thing was environmental degradation. Most of our farming practices are where we grow a single crop in one specific area of land for a very long time. So you find that to develop, to find new land, we have to fell trees, and then we have to use the fertilizers, the synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. Because if you look at the effects of using the same land to produce the same crop in 5-10 years, you actually even develop diseases which affect the type of crops you have there. The general thing that is affecting us worldwide is nutritional issues. There is around right now 71% of the total annual global deaths are attributed to chronic diseases. And then the World Health Organization clearly states that the one risk factor that can actually be changed to help us prevent chronic diseases is our nutrition. So this is by reducing the toxic food we eat, reducing malnutrition. And then there's also the other side of overnutrition, where if you're obese, you actually have a very high chance of developing most of the chronic diseases. The third objective or challenge or opportunity was to have a social impact, like create employment for the people around me. Because for me to get the job that I had in engineering, it took me a long time to get it. And at the end of the day, it did not create that value that I hoped I would get from it for me and my community. So what I remember my father telling me is that we are born in the environments God has put us in so that we can learn and grow. It's a bit, it comes from a religious perspective, but what it means is you're supposed to learn from what is around you and build yourself from there. So yes, in 2018, I came back home. I resigned from work because I was not going to get that main job that I was hoping with a lot of money. And I dedicated my time and my life to build an agribusiness enterprise that would resolve these major challenges I had seen in the environment around me. We can go to the next slide. Nicholas. Okay, so what is Vaya Kwetu? So Vaya Kwetu, the idea behind it is to be able to produce food from home, like Kwetu is home. So the main slogan for the company comes from Hippocrates. The guy, he's the father of modern medicine. And he recognized that our diet plays a very critical role in how healthy we are. So the wording is let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be food. This does not mean that you eat medicinal trees, what we call like mitishamba. It actually means that you recognize the role of nutrition in terms of malnutrition and overnutrition as a brief interplay that contributes to how healthy you are now and how healthy you'll be in the future. So to achieve this, there's a lot at play, yeah? So the main mission for the company is to create environments that not only sustain life, but also allow it to heal and restore itself so that we can improve the health and the wealth of individuals and the community around us. This means that the mission is not only for me to produce certain types of food to feed my clients and improve their health. It is also to be able to teach people how to do this for themselves, and also to allow the community around, like as I grow and the demand goes up, they can also produce what I'm producing, and I would position myself as a processor or as a manufacturer for these things so that we can sell them together. So how am I working to achieve this vision and this mission? So first, I have a website and a blog. The main aim for this is to have a place where there's information about farming, how to produce like the foods that I am growing using a toxic-free, like it's a mixture of organic farming and permaculture. That's how you can grow things without toxins. And then also to teach people about medicinal plants. So there's two categories of medicinal plants. There are those ones that we call mitishamba, the ones that treat specific diseases. And then there are just these small plants that have like they can be included regularly in your diet. Something like, I would take an example of a plant called stevia, which is a natural sweetener. But ideally, when you get sick, when you have diabetes, is when you're given stevia to be an alternative to your sugar, your processed sugar. But if you start including stevia in your diet now, it means your blood sugar levels will never go so high that you get diabetes. And this plant is something you can grow outside your house or in a container in your urban farm at home or in Nairobi. So the first point in how we achieve our mission is to create a central place where this information can be accessible to everyone, which is using our website and our blog. So the second way we are doing this is by our farming methods. So this is what I would call organic farming and regenerative farming or sustainable farming, where you do not only grow one crop because you recognize that you need things like pesticides, you need things like fertilizer. And when you do some research, there are actual plants that deter specific pests, and there are plants that produce nitrogen and other fertilizers, which by doing a mixture of permaculture and intercropping, you realize you can maintain your farm without having to buy fertilizer. The picture on your screens shows a place where we have done napier grass. On the background, there is eucalyptus, the blue gums, and then on the sides, there are these fruit trees called mulberry trees. So you see, we are able to take care of our cows, which give us manure. And also from the same piece of land, we have planted trees, short-term trees, which are the fruit trees, which ideally we can harvest seasonally. But long-term, on the borders of this space of land, we have the blue gum trees, which are a long-term investment, which means every 5 to 10 years, we can harvest them and do timber. The second, so that explains the intercropping also and the agroforestry. We can move on. So the third, and I would say the most important part, is through our products. So what we grow, our main crop is the medicinal plants, specifically culinary herbs. This include things like parsley, we know it as dhania, rosemary, sage. So these are the plants that you can eat, you can include in your food every day as, to add the flavor on them, and also like something like stevia, which would substitute your normal sugar, but in the long run, it has a medicinal effect for you. So it's like you're adding something to prevent diseases to your regular diet, which goes back to our main slogan of let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be food. The other thing now where that comes into play with intercropping is wholemeal flour. So things like millet, roots and tubers, and then like the things like cassavas, sweet potatoes, arrowroots, they can easily be intercropped with medicinal plants and medicinal trees, and also fruit trees, especially during the first 3-4 years when the trees are not yet big enough. So as looking at value addition, we are developing wholemeal flour. So we have positioned ourselves as processors. So we buy these small plants, these plants from the farmers around us, and do a formulation of wholemeal flour for porridge and for cooking, so that we have an alternative to just the maize meal. But on the background, what we are doing is we are enabling the farmers around us to be able to grow things which they have a ready market to. And by focusing on the manufacturing and the processing, it means we can cater for what they produce and ensure a steady income for them. So there is also dried fruits. The thing with fruits this side is like when mangoes are in season, everyone has mangoes. When avocados are in season, everyone has avocados. So we are looking to also process this. For starters, like for the bananas and the mangoes, we are drying them. And then for the avocados, we would like to be extracting the oil. So far we are in the process of getting the machinery for this. But this would be the third product line that we would put in place to cover our offer to the local farmers, where they can intercrop things and develop a holistic land. So our third product would be the seeds and the seedlings. This is now for the plants that we have tried on our farm and know they work well intercropped with specific things, like the things that we know we can buy from you. So for starters, there's bamboo seedlings, there's the seedlings for the fruits, there's the seedlings for the medicinal plants, and then also for things like the millet, the arrowroots, and the tubers. Yes, we can continue. Nicholas? Okay, so I will take a specific example of a medicinal plant which we grow, which right now has a very high demand in Kenya. That is chia seed. And the demand is not only in Kenya, actually worldwide. So chia seeds have come up as a superfood. That's the name that is being used for marketing. And it's just a crop that grows for 3 months. It's short, it doesn't even reach waist length. And you do not need fertilizer or pesticide to produce this crop. But ideally, after the 3 months, you're able to harvest the tops of the crops, which have the seed, and then use the rest of the crop as for mulching, or you can put them at a certain area and they rot and produce fertilizer, which you can use on the rest of the farm. The interesting thing about this plant is almost every part of it is useful. The leaves can be used to make herbal teas. The seed itself is what I would say has a boom in marketing right now, because supermarkets are buying them to stock them there. And also just people in their homes are buying them for the health benefits. So the buying price for, let me say for a farmer who's selling to a middle person to take to a supermarket, they buy at 400 to 700 shillings per kg. And if you do half an acre of chia seed, you get around 100 kgs from 3 months. So please note that the 3 months means instead of planting maize, which takes 6 to 8 months for you to harvest, you can actually grow chia 2 times in the same space of land. And this is not the only herbal seed that is out there. There are very many others. We have around 4 different types, but I have highlighted chia seed because the market is ready. And even our company, Agroecology, would buy it, like is currently seeking farmers who can grow it for us. So what we are doing for chia seed is we are looking to do value addition per se. And value addition for chia seed is just being able to also package it, get a KEBS certificate so that I can take it directly to the supermarket where I can sell it at a higher price per kg. So briefly looking at the health benefits of chia seed that make it be called a superfood is it aids in weight management. You can take chia seed when you want to lose weight or when you want to gain weight. The seed itself, just taking 1 tablespoon per day, you add it in, let's say, a glass of water and you drink the water, you would feel very, very full. Yeah. And nutritionally, it would have represented the carbohydrates you should have taken for the day, the proteins and the fatty acids and amino acids. So this means if you want to lose weight, just by adding chia seed to your breakfast, you can stop taking bread and the other carbohydrates. And since you will not feel so hungry at lunchtime, you can also not take things like rice and what you normally eat for lunch. So it means you're eating less, but you're not starving, so you're losing weight. On the other hand, if you want to gain weight, it has a lot of proteins and omega-3 fatty acids. So it means you would take that same tablespoon or 2 tablespoons and eat twice as much as the food you have, but nutritionally, it's like you'll have taken 3 servings of food. The other health benefits are it is loaded with a lot of antioxidants, which are the chemicals that allow us to fight oxidative stress, which leads to development of diseases like cancer and arthritis when like our bones and our ligaments, the muscles that join our bones get inflamed and get under oxidative stress. The other thing is just nutritionally, it is a food that is a source of so much nutrition, and it also eases digestive disorders, things like ulcers. If you have a serious problem immediately and you start taking chia, because it lacks any additives and it is neutral, it would ease the pain. Yeah. So chia seed would be the example I would use to show our like our collection of medicinal plants, because it is what most of you might already have encountered but did not know much about. Nicholas can continue. Oh, next slide, please. So for the future growth of the company, before I get into it, I can say a bit more of where we are. So since 2018, 2019 mostly was spent establishing these crops, because we have around 13 different species of medicinal plants right now. We have 2 acres of bamboo. We have so many trees in terms of blue gums. So we have been focusing on being able to do value addition for all these other plants. So where we are right now is where we are starting to carve our market. We are starting to talk to people on social media, reaching out to retailers. We are in the process of getting our KEBS certification, so that our factory where we dry these plants and we mill them, like the product we provide to the final consumers is up to standard for our, let me call it, the food and safety regulations. So what we are looking at doing in the future is avocado farming and processing. This is the one thing we have not yet been able to start on, and mostly it is to extract the oil, yeah, and then be able to do also fertilizer from what remains of that oil extracting process. Then there's fish farming. Where we are located, there are several tributaries. And the thing with fish farming is the water itself that you get from the fish ponds has a lot of nitrates, which are natural fertilizers for the rest of the farm. And also things like the bamboo, which we have plenty of, can be used to make feeds for the fish, livestock, and birds. So we are looking to increase these other animals so that we can get the manure to balance out with the plants, and also so that we can have things to feed with the excess of the bamboo which we have. So in terms of opportunity for people who are interested to join our mission would be things like contract farming, where we would provide the seedlings and the seeds, and then enter an agreement on how we will buy them back, do the training and the empowerment so that you can be our partner. And then also retailing and distribution. In 2 months, we will have the KEBS standardization for most of our products. And we would look at people who are closer to their final consumers, who we can sell these things to at wholesale prices to them. And then they do the distribution to the final consumers. So as a case study of a farmer who I would say the COVID-19 is actually seeming like an opportunity, Viacretu is a company that is well positioned to take advantage of that, because one, the nature of our products are that there are things like, as Anthony mentioned, things that are improving the immunity. We have almost 4 or 5 species of herbs that do that. In terms of just offering very high nutritional benefits, which also is good for your immunity, we have that. And we are working to create our distribution system so that we can reach the final consumers, market to them directly, but also still take advantage of the existing distribution systems. I think my presentation ends there. The next slide would be for questions. Oh, it's not there. All right. I think
That's fine. That's fine, Laura. Thank you very much. I think you have put it quite aptly. What has stood out for me is let thy food be thy medicine. That's a hypocrite, but I don't really agree on eating the mitishamba, but that is a discussion for another day. Maybe just some quick feedback and pointers from me is one, you see, you represent in this forum the young farmer. and not just young in terms of age, it's also being new in the business. Since your story starts in and around 2018, 2019, I would like for you to tell perhaps the other participants, how realistically can one expect to start realizing results from getting into the farming part of the agribusiness? I ask this because we're a generation that is used to instant gratification. That's why we have instant coffee, we have video on demand. You want a movie, you just ask for it, you get it. If you want coffee, you don't have to cook it, you just need the hot water and boom, you have coffee. It is the same mindset that many youth have, and this has been talked about over and over again. But you being on the ground, how long should one realistically wait, and what tips and hacks can one do to maybe shorten the duration?
All right. Thank you for the question. My answer would not be so direct in terms of how long should someone wait, because the most important thing one should start with is identifying what you want to produce or what you want to deal in. The agricultural value chain has a lot of players. You can be a producer, you can be a manufacturer, you can be a distributor. So as in Anthony's presentation, he mentioned there are a lot of opportunities you can take advantage of. So the one thing I would say, I would advise a farmer out there or someone interested in agribusiness would be, identify exactly where in this value chain you would like to position yourself. And then now based on that position, you can now estimate how long it would take you, because something like production, I would say it has a lot of returns, but it needs a lot of patience. Because let's say if you decide to do fruits, you'll have to wait for 3 to 4 years for you to get your first produce. And that is why like the approach we took as Viakwetu was to do intercropping, because you can grow short-term plants, grow middle-term plants, and then the long-term plants, so that you can earn something within the first year and you can earn after. This still goes back to, okay, so now based on your positioning, it means it also will define the amount of investment you would need to start with. Because being a producer, it is easy to take a small amount of money and start producing and then be able to multiply it in due time. Because also the nature of agriculture is, if you start with 2 chickens today, after a year, most likely those 2 chickens will have hatched and you'll have 10. But on the other hand, let's say if you're a distributor, it means if you start with 10,000 and that is what you use to buy your inventory, you need to keep feeding back your profit. So what are like the duration with which you would have to wait to get back your money will depend on where you're positioned, and also how fast, let me not say how fast, how much you're able to grow within a year or 2 years also depends on where you're positioned and the amount of money we'll have to put in. Going back to my example, my experience also, the patience one needs to reach a place where you can say you're seeing results. Because while there are a lot of things that look like they are quick returns, the distribution, it means you need a lot of money, which most of us young farmers don't have that. Like, I do not have 1 million to do a greenhouse where I can do tomatoes and sell to the ready market. But on the other hand, I can easily get 20,000 to start with a few chicken and grow a few greens. So also, I think as young farmers, we need to realize that we have time. That's the thing, that with technology these days, like the instant gratification, like the amount of time it takes for us to get gratified is very short, but really on the ground, things like good things take time to develop. They take time for you to learn. So relax and know that you have time. If you have your responsibilities, let's say you have children or you're married, you would start with that approach of having a job and then doing the farming on the side. But if you are somewhere like me, where when I started I was still young, I still do not have a lot of responsibilities, and you can dedicate your time to build something that will last longer than you, it means you can start with very little, but after 2 or 3 years you're in a position to provide so much. So it's an interplay of patience, where you want to start, and who you are as a person, really. I hope that answers you. Hello?
It actually answers the question. I threw you a curveball because um, it's a challenge that every entrepreneur faces, irrespective or regardless of industry. But you have set it up so well and answered it adequately. If Caroline, do you have any questions from our other participants?
Yes.
I cannot hear you, Carol.
Carol, you need to speak now.
Okay, so we're having so many questions come through, so I won't ask all of them. We'll leave some for the Q&A, but there's V from Kahawaskari is asking, she just lost her job amid this coronavirus pandemic, and she's been thinking about entering into farming, into fishing, into selling fish. And she's wondering what goes into the aspect of now thinking, I want to go into selling fish or fish farming. What should she prepare herself? What should she do to prepare herself? And something else, how can she reach her target audience? Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Another question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's another question also on how to reach the audience, how to reach your target audience. So there's a farmer in Kinankop is asking, they produce potatoes, but they've been having problems on reaching their target audience. And also another problem is the middleman that they're using to bring the products to the city. So they're wondering how can they cut off the middleman and get their products to the market directly. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Carol. I think at this point, if Anthony is also able to come in and weigh in on this, because it goes far and beyond the area of practice that Nelima is in. So if Anthony, you are able to hear that, there's a question about how do you get rid of the middleman and what innovative ways are available to get to the end consumer quicker, cheaper, for the benefit of the business. But I'll allow Laura to go first, give you insights, then Anthony can hop on later.
All right. So I will start with a question from Lee, who wants to go into fish, selling them. My first question that if I put myself in your shoes, I would ask myself is, what am I willing to do? Do I want to be that person who is sourcing for area or around Nakuru, people like who have, yeah? So where do I want to position myself? So I like, who are my customers, first of all? Like, there are those people who have restaurants and there are those that are going to cook, yeah? So do I deep frying them and selling to them to be the supplier for that lady, yeah? So, or do I want to do all of them, which would, you would look like a butchery somehow, something like that. So based on what you want to do, that will define. If you want to be a supplier, it means you need to get a reliable source of the fish and buy a specific type of fish which all the people who now will be your clients would like and enjoy, and then how they would want the fish. Do they want it fresh? Do they want it deep fried? Easily identify which or what and invest in, which is it a restaurant? Is it just supplies so that you only need to manage inventory? And then now look for the unknowns. Where will you get your supplies from?
Thank you very much, Nelima. Anthony, you can go as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's a very practical question. One that we need to look at. It is very easy, but hard is actually to develop the supply chain. That is one of the very hardest things that we need to work on. Maybe my personal story, sometimes I started, I've started, a business on rice production, and milling and all that. So I went in, branding a nice brand, and looked for the nice machine for milling rice, bought enough stock and, lots of stuff. Very good for me to jump into business, pumped some little money into it and have enough stock, the machine in place. But I didn't do a lot of marketing, I didn't invest much into marketing. So I was thinking, hey, when people know that this guy has rice, everybody will be dropping at my shop, and it didn't happen. So I had to really invest into more marketing, going now talking to the people that I thought they would just come kneeling down at my door. Hey, can we buy your rice? No, I was the one to go to them, convince them, ensure, and I know why it pays a lot on supply chain, why you earn more money, because it is more work, So I want to ensure you that, to complement what Laura said, that please count the cost, look at the task that you want to do. Is production a profitable venture? Look at it. What are the costs you're going to put in? Is supply chain a profitable venture? Look at it. So don't go into something without calculations. Most of the time I've gone into some business without calculations, and I have burned my fingers. So please ensure that you do a little research, a little statistics on how you go into it. But I want to tell you, marketing and consumer awareness, and is the main thing that you need to build, because that is where everybody will shine. Farmers are not earning more money because the brokers know the market. They are eating the money, they're doing that. But I think to tie up on the issues of supply chain reduction, one, be in charge of the market. Don't produce without knowing the market. They will undercut you. You will not be an objective negotiator with the buyers if you don't know how the market is going on. So ensure that as you produce the fish, you know who you will sell to, how much they're supposed to make in terms of margin, how much they're supposed to do in terms of transportation, in terms of storage, so that now you know how much you're going to make in terms of your margins, and also how much they are going to make, so that you know how to negotiate fully. We cannot be able to cut off the brokers or anybody from the market, but we can play safe within our margins. But also I want to to tell you that the digital technologies have actually shortened the supply chain. Yeah, you can sell directly to the consumer directly from Bungoma, because you are able to sell on digital platforms. You're able to sell your spice, you're able to sell your groundnuts, peanut butter, you're able to sell your product directly.
Okay, so there are more questions coming in, and for Laura, there's somebody who's saying that big up, you're doing a great job with Vaya Kwetu, and they are very impressed by a young, a youth who's able to go into that industry and is really making it. So for both of you, there's a question about still marketing. How do we market agri products? There's also a smallholder farmer who's saying, I have my products, I am a farmer, my products are just still at home. I don't know how to get to the audience. How do I market my product?
Okay, so I will quickly jump on that one. Some of those things have been alluded to. I think there is the element of digital stores, and Anthony has repeated it, and Laura has shown or exhibited that she's an example that she's using it. She's using her website, she has the blog going on, and through that she's able to get clients. Now, just a quick pointer for all the participants. The slides that you have seen Anthony and Laura present shall be sent to your email addresses based on the email address that you used to register for the event. And also, because of the interest of time, I would like to invite Anthony, followed after Laura, to give us some closing remarks. Then I shall have some words after Anthony. Then we can close out, and then look forward to having a similar session within 2 weeks, where we shall be looking at different value chain and different crop types. You also feel free to nominate farmers within your area who you think would be exemplary, that we can feature, as we have done so with Laura, as well as explore opportunities that Vaya Kwetu have, because Laura has made it clear she's looking for contract farmers for her Miti ni Dawa initiative, Let Thy Food Be Thy Medicine. And Anthony as well has great opportunities for you to explore. So at this point, I'd like to introduce to let Anthony make some closing remarks after Laura has spoken. So Laura, I'll let you in. Tell us some closing remarks, then we call it an evening from you.
Hi, thank you for that, Nicholas. I would start by expounding more on your miti ni dawa. Ideally, what is called miti shamba are the trees we use to cure diseases. Those ones are very important. You cannot take them on everyday diet. But if you look at the diseases that are actually affecting us very, very much right now, pressure, obesity, because of our diet. Take something like vegetable oils and a lot of chia seed, which is also a grain that oils and actually lowers things like your blood sugar. Yeah, it means this food to you is medicine. So it is recognizing the gaps we have, mitigate these gaps so that we can either. Closing remark, I would say there's a lot of plan and to research on what works for is available with the internet, agricultural organization FAO. And then also we tend to see competition as a bad thing, that if someone is already growing herbs, I cannot grow herbs because we would compete. But when it comes to food, there are 8 billion people in the world who have a problem with getting enough food on their plate. So literally, agriculture is the one place where you can use my experience to develop yourself. And by us being the two of us, it means we can reach a wider market. So embrace the people around you, learn from we can learn from each other, and let's do this farming together so that we can help each other set up very serious distribution systems and manufacturing processes. Thank you.
Well put, Laura. Well put. Anthony, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, the team that you have taken time to participate in this meeting. I want to ensure that the only way that we can develop us as Africans is to translate knowledge that we get into enterprise. And we can only do that if we start off. There are some who already have the product, but there are some who don't have the product. Sometimes you'll try and you'll fail, but you keep trying. I'm looking forward from this call that people will make, a decision to start producing crops, not only for their food, but also for the markets. As Laura has pointed out, the opportunities keep growing when the population keep growing. I told you that Africa is growing at over 75% of urbanization. So it means that in the next 50 years or so, almost the rural setup will have actually vanished. Every rural market town will be urbanized. There will be three-phase power. There will be rural infrastructure in roads. And that will be opportunity to transport food, to process food. I want to, to urge you that look for one opportunity, for one niche, which you can play in, and play in very seriously, because that is a segment that has growth for the future. Invest in knowledge, invest in skills. I said here, and I want to repeat again, most of the young people have education but don't have skills. Yeah, when you have a particular skill, ensure you sharpen it until it is a brand. When you are a brand in that market, you will start attracting people, you attract money. But don't be just happy because you have education. If that education is not helping you, it means that if you have education and you're not turning it into enterprise, into a skill that you can market it, then you are not yet there. Have a skill, develop a brand, and money will come, we start following you. Don't start looking for money when you don't have a skill. Don't start looking for money when you don't have a product. When nobody knows you, you are in the market. So those are my parting shots. Thank you very much for FarmGRO, for participating with us in Bountiful International to ensure that we can feed Africa and poise ourselves to feed the world. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much. Guys, it has been wonderful. We thought it would be 1 hour, it turned out to be 2 hours. I think when you have something good going on, we just let it keep rolling. And that's it and done. Just a quick recap. We've had Anthony, the Country Director of Bountiful International. He's given us great insight, stats, numbers, situation, and opportunities as he sees it. Not just as an expert in the field, but also as a farmer. And he's also considered he has failed a number of times. One thing I believe, you will always fail your way to success. Each time you fail, you're one step closer to your goal. Our other panelist was Laura Nelima, Lubisia, very inspirational. Her story of transition from an engineering background to an astute and weight to reckon with within the agri space is quite a story. As she has said it, read the books, sharpen your knowledge, get your skills in order, build a brand, and you'll attract the right people. And it takes time. So patience is a big deal when it comes to any form of business. Agribusiness is not any unique. Okay? So if you're out there, you've been listening to it, Lilian Yamo, thank you very much for the compliment. Caleb, Asante Sana for dropping in and out from time to time. Joshua from Bungoma, Asante Sana. The Fuamba family, we see you. You've kept us company this whole evening. Now we look forward to having yet another Farmers Fireside Chat in 2 weeks, where we shall now be covering value chain to be revealed to you on email. If you have enjoyed this series, please let us know, put it in the comments. I have included Anthony and Laura's emails within the chat. Feel free to reach out, engage them, transform your lives, and we would have achieved our goal as FarmGRO. And to our event organizers, I know you've been getting emails, notifications. This was done by the team at Big Dash. Big Dash, represented by Carol, who's within the chat. They have done us a solid in terms of getting our product to the customers, which is one thing that we have actually discussed. And they have done it seamlessly and so effectively, and you are here today because of them. Thank you very much, Big Dash. And with those remarks, I wish you a good evening, good morning, depending on where you are and when you're watching this, because we shall have this posted up on our YouTube channel. Please see you in 2 weeks. Subscribe if there's a button on your screen. Share, tell a friend, transform your lives. Asante sana. Have yourselves a good evening, people.